Alright, we're back for round 2 of my coverage from the 2026 NSRA Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky. And if you missed out on the first round, go back and watch it after you're done with this one. I covered a lot of cool stuff, and I'm jumping right back into it here with a lot more vintage treasure. We've got historic hot rods, we got some more gassers, pro street cars, and a lot of good cruising action. Let's get into it. I'm kicking this coverage off with this 41 Willis coupe. It's a really cool looking gasser, and yes, I pronounced it Willis and not Willys. I get complaints whether I pronounce it one way or the other, but I'm going with Willis. This thing has got a cool gasser stance. You can see it's got kidney beans on the front, big windows on the back with about a 30-inch tall tire. This thing has a cool looking stance. Then under the hood, it has a 392 based Chrysler Hemi with a supercharger and 6 two-barrel carburetors with those little velocity stacks. This thing has got some really good parts and pieces on it. On the inside, it's dressed up sort of like a street rod, but still got a lot of good gasser elements. You can see this car's got those headers that go right underneath the front fenders, long ladder bars that have been chrome plated, and then out back it's got wheelie bars and a round tube bumper that's also been chrome plated. This car has a good mixture of vintage gasser parts and pieces and a modern contemporary build. Next up is a 28 or 29 Model 8 Roadster, and you can see this thing has been channeled down over the frame. The 32-4 grill shell has been sectioned to match the new profile, and then this thing has a really cool looking 24 stud flathead. It's got some very cool, very rare vintage speed parts on it, including some Champion cylinder heads, 2 Stromberg carburetors, and a hexagon air cleaner, which is a really rare piece. This thing's got a lot of good stuff. Some cool looking lake style headers. Of course, it's got wide white wall tires and red steel wheels with the chrome rings. This car's got a great looking hot rod profile. You can see the chopped windshield and custom top, and then it's got a set of wild looking flames. It looks like they were done back in the 50s or early 60s. This car appears to have a lot of hot rod history. I haven't been able to document any of the history of this car. Obviously, I want to dig deeper and find out where this thing came from, who built it, and how long it's been together. Judging by the dash plaques and some of the decals on this car, this thing has seen some stuff. It's been around a long time. So it's a neat piece. I'm going to dig a little deeper and hopefully bring you guys a full documentary on this one. Alright, let's go into the swap meet for a little bit and check out some of the projects and some of the cool old parts that were on display and for sale. Now, there was a lot of stuff here to see. I'm by no means covering the whole thing. If you want to see more coverage of the swap meet and the cars for sale and the Street Rod Nationals in general, I suggest you check out Throttle Power. He has some great videos covering the entire event. Definitely a lot of cool stuff to see. Now, this one was already sold, but I'm liking the looks of this thing. It's a 56 Chevy, but it's got a 55 Chevy front end on it. It has a straight axle under the front with parallel leaf springs, skinny slotted mags on the front, looks like some 8s or 10s on the back with slicks. This thing's sitting pretty high all the way around, but it's got a pretty cool look to it. Good project. Somebody's already started working on it, but it would be a good one to finish up. Here's another one from the swap meet in the car corral, and this is a really cool drag car. You can see the Kentucky Colonel lettering on the side of it. Now, that is an old name for an old drag car back in the day, but this one is a little more contemporary, and we can see right here, huge Hemi horsepower. This is a 572 cubic inch, all aluminum Hemi, cross ram 2.4s, the whole 9 yards. And this thing is set up sort of like a nostalgia super stock car. We'll see as we back up, it's got the cool paint job, cool lettering, big Hoosier slicks on the back, and then centerline front runners to finish it off. Here's some more cool stuff from the swap meet. These are some very cool, very rare McCulloch supercharger parts for a flathead Ford V8. Now, these things are very early designs. This is before your typical centrifugal supercharger came out in the 1950s. These pancake style compressors are very old. They're great for a traditional hot rod. In the same booth as those superchargers was this cool little pickup truck. You can see this thing has a Ford flathead V8, 24 stud, Navarro cylinder heads, and then a modern Roots supercharger on top of that with a modern 4-barrel carburetor. This is a really cool looking setup, and by the looks of it, he's got this thing figured out. It's got a lot of electronics, a lot more than what you'd normally see on a flathead Ford, but I bet this thing runs pretty good. I'm always looking for wheels and tires, and these are some cool ones here. ET3 wheels, big wide wheels. They're probably 13 inches wide, and they're mounted on a set of B.F. Goodrich Sport Truck TA tires. Now, these things were made 20 plus years ago, and they are a favorite for hot rodders. They have that cool look, cool profile. People are still using these things even though they're 20 plus years old. As long as they're put away in the dry, these things are still good for a long time. Here's some more wheels. We got some Weld Rod Light wheels, some front runners. Those are getting hard to find, but the main focus here are these giant rear wheels that probably came off of a Top Fuel car or maybe a funny car or something like that, because these are wider than normal. These are 14-inch wide Halibrand magnesium wheels, and they're looking chalky, but these things would clean up really good and have that cool gray tone to them. The old Goodyear slicks are looking a little bit rough, but these are some really cool wheels, and he had them priced for $2,500 bucks. Now, I always like small cars with big engines, and this is a great example. 1980 Buick Opal. Now, this thing has a really cool body design. It's not like the Opel GTs that you see that sort of look like miniature Corvettes. This is totally different, but this thing has been gutted out. It's sitting on a tube chassis, full roll cage, big tires on the back, and then a small block Chevy up front here. You can see this thing is a serious combination. It has aluminum heads, big headers, single plane intake, and a modern 4-barrel. This is a really cool looking setup, and it's obviously an extremely lightweight car. Here we got another gasser, this time a Rambler. This car has a cool profile. It has some great hand lettering with gold leaf. You can see the fender well headers, the straight axle, the cool handmade scoop. This car has some great potential. Here's a cool Tri-5 Chevy with some great drag racing influence from back in the day. This is a 55 Chevy two-door sedan, and it's a 150 model, meaning it has no trim whatsoever. We look inside, you can see some period correct modifications. Most of this stuff has been this way for a long time. You can see it's got skinny Kragers, fender well headers. And this car doesn't have any big scoop, any kind of crazy decals or lettering. It's just a bad old hot rod. Speaking of bad old hot rods, check out this 33 Ford 3-window coupe. Now, these cars are the quintessential hot rod or street rod. You can see this one has no fenders. It has a chop top and a very aggressive stance with these tiny little Michelin front runners, and then some big old BFG sport truck TAs on the back. This thing has the perfect hot rod stance and a perfect hot rod profile, and of course it's wearing bright orange paint. This is a great combination. Up next is another gasser, and this time a 55 Ford Victoria. Now, you always see Chevrolet gassers, but you don't see as many Fords. And this one is a cool example with the factory looking two-tone paint job, but obviously it's got some vintage style lettering with the Hustler on the quarter panel, A-gas markings, and then it has 427 cubic inch designations on the front fender. This thing has a 427 FE engine, tunnel ram, 2.4s, velocity stacks sticking up out of the hood, and then of course Americans that have been painted sort of a charcoal gray to give them a magnesium look, and then this thing has modern racing rubber on it. Very cool combination, good looking stance, and a great presentation overall, and this car is for sale. If you're enjoying this video, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment below. Alright, this next one might be my favorite car from the 2026 Street Rod Nationals. This is a Model A Roadster, and this thing is a true historic hot rod. It has not been changed. The paint on this car is original to the 1960s, and this car was completely built in the 1960s as a hot rod. And we'll see that this car has a channeled body over the frame. It has a 32 Ford grill shell, and they haven't sectioned the grill shell, they just moved it down. It's a very nice and tasteful car. You can see it's got bobbed fenders on the back, and they even upholstered the leading edge of those fenders with rolled and pleated, probably Naugahyde or vinyl, and then it has cycle fenders on the front. A really cool looking setup, and you can see it has a custom interior with blue inserts, and then that custom top that's all white. It goes all together, blue and white theme on this car, and it's all tied together with a set of Firestone wide white wall tires, and those are Buick Invicta hubcaps. The current owner of the car is Tom Bristow. Now, he has a lot of drag racing history himself, and he obviously has a thing for old hot rods, and he bought this car out of the estate of Ron Ennis, who was the owner of this car for decades. He actually bought this thing in the late 60s and drove it to shows until 1978. That was the last time this car was registered and plated. Tom bought the car a few years ago and wanted to get this thing back on the road, and it originally had a 265 cubic inch small block Chevy and a hydromatic transmission. The engine was locked up and it looked like it was a little too far gone, so he ended up putting a 283 in there, and we can see it's got all traditional parts. It has the right valve covers, it has the right 2.4 intake, the right carburetors, the cool little scoops that are on there. All these parts and pieces are what you would have seen back in the day when this car was put together. Now, he did upgrade to these lake style headers and those side pipes. Originally the car had exhaust that ran underneath it, and he put those side pipes on there, and I thought that was a great period correct addition to this car. One thing I do see that he updated is this generator. It's actually a one-wire internally regulated alternator that's made by PowerMaster. It's called the Power Gen. It looks just like something from the 50s or 60s, but it charges just like a brand new alternator. He put the Firestone tires on there, he put an electric fan on it, and an overdrive transmission. I love the old chrome dropped axle. You can see chrome shocks, chrome leaf spring, the split wishbones. A lot of that stuff is original to the car. Now, Tom didn't know who originally built this car. That's something I'm probably going to research because I just love hot rod history, and this thing was built in northern Indiana in the 1960s, so maybe somewhere down the line I can find some information on who originally built it before Ron Ennis ended up owning it later on in the 60s. It still does have some cool artifacts, a lot of cool stuff inside and out of this car. We can see it does have some lettering on the frame rail here, and it does have a few little decals that does tie it all together with that Indiana history. If I'm able to find any history on this thing, you guys will be the first to know. Now, here's a cool looking Pro Street car and a little bit different. This is an early 60s Rambler, and you can see it's got blue tinted windows. Inside it's got a roll cage, and it looks like this is a stick shift car, which is even cooler. You can see this thing's got big tires tucked up under the back of it, nice low stance. And this one, instead of a big supercharger, it actually has a tunnel ram and 2.4s on a very nicely detailed aluminum headed small block Chevy. And I like the little blue details that kind of stand out against that semi-gloss black paint. All right, here comes another gasser, and this time an Anglia. And based on the blue oval with that font on the Anglia lettering and the 289 designations on the quarter panel, I'm guessing this is Ford powered. You see it's got a one-piece fiberglass front end. It's got well drag light wheels and some big old Mickey Thompsons on the back. It's got some old school gasser stuff mixed in with some modern Pro Street stuff, but overall, pretty cool combination. Now, I've showed you some pretty serious traditional hot rods and gassers. This is a little more modern. This is more of an 80s style build. We got a killer BDS blower on top of a built small block, and it's in a third generation Camaro. Now, this is kind of a Pro Street car, but you can see it's on air suspension, so it's sitting right on the ground. This is a wild combination, and it definitely got some attention. Sitting right behind that Camaro was another cool combination. Now, this is a big truck. You can see it's got the different fenders on the front and the back, but it's sitting low. So these early commercial style heavy duty trucks had totally different bodies than regular half-ton trucks, and this is a great example. You can see they've put this thing right on the ground with some custom framework, obviously air suspension, and then they have a matching trailer with a big chopper on the back of it. Lots of flames, lots of custom paint work, lots of striping. This makes for an eye-catching combination, especially when it's sitting flat on the ground like this. Now, here's something I didn't expect to see at the Street Rod Nationals. This is a 100% hand-built Land Rover hot rod. And you can see on the inside it does have store-bought bomber-style seats, but the rest of this is hand-built. This is a really cool-looking truck. You can see they've got it sitting down on the ground on some knockoff Shelby-style wheels, and they've got those little roll bar hoops. This thing is set up to kind of be like a Cobra, but also when you look up front here, there's not anything Cobra going on here. This is a big block Chevy, custom valve covers with the Land Rover logo. You can see it's got Holley EFI up top. This thing has got lots of good pieces, of course a ton of great fabrication, and I'm not sure if he's going to paint it, because if it were mine, I'd have to leave the bare aluminum just to show off how good this fabrication is. Either way, it's an extremely cool creation. Now, this is a pretty cool day 2 style Camaro, 67 Camaro. It's got the skinny Kragers, the big Kragers on the back. What got my attention though, check out the child seat, turned around backwards. That means they have a little baby that rides in the back of this hopped up Camaro, and that's so cool to me. Young families getting into hot rods, that means a lot, and we need that to keep this thing going. Here's a cool one for the Ford guys. This is an original paint Mach 1 Mustang. We can see a little bit of dings, a little bit of scratches, a little bit of wear and tear, but this is a truly original car. You can see it does have an aftermarket hood, and then under that hood, we've got big time horsepower. You got gold anodized Moroso valve covers. This is a car that looks cool, it has cool history, and it probably runs real good too. Here's one for the Mopar guys. We got a 64 Plymouth, and we can see this thing is stripped down. It's plain Jane on the outside. A two-door sedan. We don't see any emblems, no chrome, nothing like that. On the inside, it's red, beautiful interior. We do see a tack mounted to the dash and some gauges underneath the dash, and then under the hood, we've got serious horsepower from a 426 max wedge cross ram with 2 4s. You can see it has the Skinny Americans on the front, painted steel wheels on the back, no caps. This is a really cool combination like you would have seen in the Superstock ranks back in 1964. Here's another Mopar, this time a Day 2 style car. This is a 73 Plymouth Cuda, and this thing has cool history with its owner, and it is a very nicely built car. A lot of great details. You can see the Kragers, the ProTrack tires on the back. On the inside, it has racing seats. It has a full roll cage in here. That's because this thing runs 10s, and it is a fully streetable car. It has a 500 plus cubic inch, 440 based big block, roller camshaft. I mean, this thing is set up right, and it looks cool. It's got all the right pieces to make it look period correct for the early 70s, and then it still has great modern performance on the track today. I also want to offer my condolences to Clay King and his family for the loss of his father, Roger. Now, he was there at the Street Rod Nationals but passed away suddenly, and I know that's got to be a tough loss. He was a major inspiration for Clay and lots of other Mopar guys around the country. He was a great guy, and he will be missed. Now, here we got a junior stock car, and these were lower level stock eliminator cars. This one happens to be set up for the K stock automatic class. We can see under the hood it has a 283 with 2 4-barrel carburetors, and there were some things they could do in the stock rule book to be able to make a little more horsepower out of these things, but they were very limited on what they could do. So we can see they have made a few modifications here. Now, it does have double stacked carb spacers. You can see the ventilation on the valve covers and obviously the fender well headers, but this thing is a really cool piece, and this car was called the Hydrophobia 2. Now, this was a pretty famous car back in the day, and it has been built by Al Andrews in Pennsylvania, and it's put back together with a lot of period correct parts. It runs a Power Glide transmission and factory bucket seats, which was a thing for these sedan delivery cars, and its current caretakers are Larry and Patsy Burnett from Louisville, Kentucky. Check out this gasser. This Chevy 2 station wagon is a pretty cool car because somebody has converted it to a 2-door station wagon. You can see they've put the longer 2-door doors and then little quarter windows. This is a really cool looking car, and you can see it's got that turquoise interior. You can see slick paint, and then under the hood it actually has an LS engine with stack injection, fender well headers. You can see it does have modern amenities like power brakes and power steering, but it's got the old school stance. You can see those headers coming out the fender wells. This is a really cool looking car. Now, this is a 70s street machine. This is a radical car. It's a 70 model Mustang coupe, and you can see those giant gold velocity stacks sticking up out of where the hood should be. You can see they've actually cut the original hood, which is a really good idea because it closes out some of that somewhat ugly area in front of the radiator support and leaves a beautiful engine bay. This thing has all sorts of chrome and polished aluminum. You can see it has a tunnel ram, 2 4s. I like the little American flag on the float bowl. That's really cool. Of course, the extra tall gold anodized velocity stacks are cool. The Gap and Roush Performance valve covers, those are great. You never see those out anywhere. This car has tons of period correct pieces, and on the inside it's got white interior with a chrome roll bar. You can see up here it's got a Hurst shifter, red, white, and blue tack, and then an 8-track player with the Hank Williams Jr. 8-track sticking out of it. Then when it comes to the stance, it doesn't get much better than this for a 70s street machine. It's got leaf springs and shackles, Lakewood traction action slapper bars, and then Kragers on the back here. They're 10 inches wide, mounted to ProTrack N5015s. It's got skinny Kragers and skinny ProTracks on the front. This thing is cool. Here comes another gasser, this time about a 49 or 50 model Plymouth. Now, these are unusual cars. You see them pretty often because they're still somewhat affordable, but you don't see them very often as a gasser. This one's got a pretty aggressive, tall stance in the front. It has a straight axle and leaf springs, skinny Kragers, and wide chrome steel wheels on the back, radius wheel wells. You see they cut right through the stainless trim. This is a pretty neat looking car. It doesn't have a lot of lettering or stickers or anything like that. Just a clean green paint job and a really cool gasser stance. I love pro street cars, and this thing is so cool. It's a 37 or 38 Chevrolet, big Mickey Thompson tires on the back, and you can see the stance is right on the money for an old school pro street car. And just like my last video from the Street Rod Nationals, I'm going to end this one with some cruising action from the fairgrounds, as well as a little bit of action out on the street after the show closed.